We are moving and shaking with Latin Grammy award-winning Renesito Avich. Culture Coast is coming at you with Cuban flair right now. Welcome back to Culture Coast, brought to you by the Arts and Cultural Alliance of Sarasota County. Big thanks to our presenting sponsor, Elizabeth Van Riper, realtor with Michael Saunders & Company, and of course, iStage Homes and Beautiful You Boutique. Well, you may have heard him on Wednesday night at Classico, on Friday night at Burns Court Bistro, or at any number of venues around town. He is a Cuban guitarist and one-man band, Renesito Avich. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. And I've heard you play, and I've heard so much about you. So it's great to have you in our studio. So tell me about your musical journey and how you ended up in Sarasota.
Okay, music came to me. My parents said since I was 3 months old. I was whistling before speaking. That's what they said. So they were really worried about it, and then they went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Hey, it's gonna be a musician," and that's what it was.
Very prophetic doctor.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's what they told me. I don't remember that part.
Sure.
But, and then I started music for 13 years, ending in the University of Art in Havana. Had about 8 years living in Havana. I'm from Santiago de Cuba, though.
Okay.
Santiago de Cuba is the southeastern part of the country. And many of the phenomenon of the Cuban culture was born in Santiago de Cuba. It's a very important city, and for the culture in general. And then I moved to Havana for 8 years, and I had a pleasure to be in many recordings, learning a lot with many musicians around. And then I ended up in Sarasota because my dad and family, and I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people follow their parents to Sarasota.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And then your star instrument is the tres?
It is.
Yes. So for people who are not familiar with that particular style of guitar, what makes it special?
Definitely. If you ever see a guitar, you can notice it has 6 single strings. But this one has 3 pair of strings, and it's tuned in C major chord. If you ever learn music or know something about music, and it has 3 pair of strings, and it's tuned in C major chord open. That's why they call them tres, because it has tres cuerdas, 3 strings, 3 pair of strings.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then who are some of your primary musical influences and inspirations?
From my hometown mainly. Like I said, I'm coming from a very, very musical city, where you can find a city in every corner. Some from there are composers like Miguel Matamoros, Miguel Matamoros has a little history about Bacardi family, the Ron Bacardi family.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So Compay Segundo, which is one of the members, he used to be one of the members of the Buena Vista Social Club, which is another famous band from Cuba. And there's more. And the very classic that I don't mention a lot on the interviews is Juan Sebastian Bach from Germany.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot. I love him, and those are my biggest impressions.
And how do they affect the sound of your music?
Oh, for example, Matamoros has the most really gypsy Cuban music. You can imagine that. So it's very. But you can feel it's Cuban, but it still has a lot of European gypsy, even from New Orleans states, country music. So he's very, like I said, he's very rhythmic and gypsy composer. And then Bach, Juan Sebastian Bach has those beautiful melodies. So the Cuban music is that. It's It's like a soup of many flavors. You can have that at once, like you're it's gonna
Yes.
check you out.
I love it. And then you were a professor of music at the University of Arts Havana.
Yes.
And you now teach classes and recently taught one in Kentucky, a master class.
Yeah.
So what was that focused on?
So I had the pleasure to do a residency in Tallahassee first.
Okay.
For the folk life, Florida folk life program, and then they were having a year dedicated to Cuba in Kentucky and Western Kentucky University, and they called to their friends in Florida and they recommend me to the Western Kentucky University, and they just they made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a great time. 4 days in Kentucky, 2 master classes and 1 concert, and in a year dedicated to Cuba.
That's really exciting for those students in Kentucky to have such a great influence. And
I had a great time. They were really a great audience.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then how do you find performing Latin music in Sarasota different from other places you've been?
It's pretty interesting. I remember the beginning. I have to mention there's a lot of friends here, family, friends are my family now. So, but I have to mention one person, Max Kelly. He's my friend, first of all, but he's my photographer and designer. And he mentioned to me the word followers.
Okay.
When I came here, I say followers. So how do that work? So people who's follow me here, he said yes. There's people who likes your music,
Yeah.
and they'll be able to go and to see you in the places. And that was like a vision. And we start promoting, making pictures, and working hard. And then they become the different places who want me to play on their venues. And I'm glad people love it. I'm glad people support the music, and performing in Sarasota is special. So we have people who's here in season, but also local people who love the art, who love the music, who loves to support local artists and musicians as well. So that's perfect.
Yeah, and
I love it.
And then your musical journey has gotten you a Latin Grammy. So tell us about that.
Definitely, it's also about the promotion. I think there is a famous singer called Niña Pastori. She's a flamenco, very well-known flamenco singer, and she got a contract with Sony Music. And they saw a video of me on YouTube, and they sent me an email. When I saw the email, I thought it was a scam.
Oh my goodness.
Or something that wasn't real and then I find out who was her, and that was it. They sent me the contract, and they made me part of the album, and the album won the award, won the Grammy on the 2016.
Well, it just goes to show you got to put yourself out there, however you can.
Definitely.
And then you're also nominated for something coming up. It's
Cuba Disco.
Cuba Disco.
Yeah, it's a Cuban Grammy, if you can say like that. It's a competition where Cuba make a recognition to the best albums of the year. So I'm nominated for the best traditional Cuban album. So happy.
Congratulations.
This time is my production. It's my first production. Also, it's something that I like to talk about. Is that Sarasota gave me the support and the opportunity to produce my music, sitting down in the studio and make my own album called A Solo.
Right.
And that's the album who is nominated.
Yeah, and that's a really exciting thing about Sarasota is it may not be a big city, but there's so much support here. And it's small enough that you can create roads for yourself, and then now we can access the whole world around us.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we're going to hear you play and sing.
Sounds good.
So every guest I ask, what's something you do in your daily life or your weekly life, whatever, that has nothing to do with the arts?
Family.
A family.
Yes. If you were thinking about something really, it's an open question, I would say family. I'm a 24/7 worker.
Right.
If I'm performing, I'm doing a poster or doing a promotion. So when I got a time, I go to see my family.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's a great answer.
Yes.
Well, I think it's time to let your music speak for itself. So,
All right.
would you play something for us?
Definitely, definitely. It's a song from my album, a solo, and the name is Baila y Goza.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Renesito, take it away.
Baila, goza, que esa es la cosa. Baila, goza, que esa es la cosa. Todo el mundo se pregunta qué será la cosa que le pone el sabor a esta vida que nos toca. Ya sé que se ha puesto dura y nada es color de rosa, pero traigo la receta que nunca te fallará. Pasa la vida bailando y verás como la cosa. Venga, baila, dice, cosa, que esa es la cosa. Nada vale trabajar si no gozas un poquito la vida. Y goza, que esa es la cosa. Baila la vida.
All right, that was so wonderful. Well, Renesito's solo album is out now, and you can find it and his upcoming performance date at renesitoavich.com. And thanks everyone for watching. We'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, Elizabeth Van Riper with Michael Saunders and Company. Elizabeth enriches the real estate experience of her customers with her extensive market knowledge and involvement with Sarasota's diverse cultural landscape. And we'd also like to thank Beautiful You for providing my wardrobe and iStage homes for our beautiful set. Stay tuned to Culture Coast next month, where we'll be bringing more amazing artists and stories.
Love you, Sarasota. Thank you.